Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wellness Community. Oh my goodness, Wellness Connections podcast. I'm still getting used to adjusting to all of my different names. So, the Wellness Connections podcast, this is where you're at. Hope you enjoy that funny as we get started. Today, we are chatting with Kira, who is a functional nutritionist and traditional naturopath. And I've been following her for over 5 years now. And so it's been really cool to see like how she has shifted her business and different things she's learned and added to her business. And I love that she takes a functional approach and a whole body approach. So I hope that you guys enjoy this conversation. So welcome, Kira. How are you today?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Good, good. So let's go ahead and dive right in and tell me a little bit about your wellness journey, kind of what got you started on this, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. My wellness journey started in the womb.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna go back that far. But when I say that, it's joking, but it's also serious. Like I came out sick. I was a baby with psoriasis, with colic, couldn't figure it out. The doctor kept telling my mom, well, I don't understand because you're nursing, she shouldn't be colicky, but no one knew back then that perhaps what my mom was eating was impacting me.
Yeah.
So, that just continued. And I had digestive issues chronically until my mid 20s, when I was kind of fed up with it.
You're right. Yeah.
Right? I had done every test, scopes, barium drinks, ultrasound, like all the things, tried different medications. And they're like, I don't know, it's just IBS. You're just gonna have to deal with it. Like literally, that's how I felt.
Right.
Um, and that's when I decided it's time to kind of take healing into my own hands and start getting trained.
Yeah, absolutely. So where did you start with that? What was your first dive
You
into
know,
that?
it's kind of funny. Good old Beachbody started me up. I was watching TV on the couch and the P90X commercial came up. And I hate to say it, this is the female mentality, but even though I'm dealing with all these chronic digestive issues that are like impacting my day-to-day life, I wanted to lose weight because I couldn't lose weight.
Yeah, that's everybody's goal. I want to lose weight. I'm like, okay, but like what other things do you want to feel so that the
Yeah.
weight just falls off?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So like it wasn't my top thing, but of course you see a
Right.
commercial and you're like, oh, I could look like that. And so I did. I got P90X, but it came with a nutrition plan.
Mhm.
And it started to teach me little things about like, oh, like maybe that might not be good for me. Like as funny as it sounds now, especially with where I'm at, if you're not taught that stuff, they're not teaching it in school. They
Mhm.
have chocolate milk in school and it's terrible. And I think my parents were healthier, but like we still never talked about the why behind you need some stuff and why some stuff might not serve you, you
Mhm.
know? So then it kickstarted things and I noticed that like, my digestive issues aren't as bad. And that's when I went back and got a degree in nutrition for me. Like honestly, I just did it for me. I was a middle school English teacher at that point. So wanted to help myself. And then
Mhm.
the journey
Yeah,
just kept going.
that's amazing. So when I met you, you were definitely heavily focused on the IBS, the digestive system, the like healing your gut, which is obviously still a core piece of what you do because the gut is so important for our overall health and wellness. Um, I also wanted to comment just real quickly on the nursing piece and like um it was so fascinating because like I have 3 kids and my first was like great. Like he never got sick and he was like super healthy and he didn't start getting sick until we started like each year that I wasn't nursing him as much through the winter, I nursed him till he was almost 4. Like that's when he started kind of being, and not really bad sick, like he would recover quickly. But my second one was sick by like 6 months. But I also ate like Pop-Tarts my entire pregnancy because I was so miserable and tired. And so like I had all of this processed food during my pregnancy and during like postpartum. So when I was nursing him, and that's the only thing that was different. And I can see that difference in my kids and their immune system. And even my third one now, he, catches stuff pretty quickly and it's frustrating, but what we do eat really has that effect on what we're feeding our babies. So anyway, it is fascinating, and I'm very thankful that we have that knowledge now, so that I know what I need to do better.
Mhm.
Okay, so you got your degree in nutrition. And tell me a little bit about your journey from there. With
Mhm.
when did you start your business and start seeing clients and all of that?
Yeah, so gosh, okay, so I finished my nutrition degree. I can't even give you a date, but I know I just had my son, so it was probably 2015, end of 2015, that I finished my degree and I was still teaching. I'm like, huh, I think I kind of want to do this, like I want to do this, because truly, when
Right.
I started getting a degree, I thought I'm just doing this for me. Maybe I'll see some people on the side. I'll probably keep teaching, which I didn't love it. I'll be honest. There were aspects of teaching I loved, but it was insane stress. And
Mhm.
so it was not long after my son was born that my husband was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis, which was a crazy diagnosis to get. And I mean, I just graduated with a nutrition degree. So the only thing I knew to do was like, oh my gosh, we got to go on AIP, which actually was a good call on my end, but I didn't know what else to do. And so
Mhm.
I started researching more holistic doctors because I'm like, there's got to be people out there that, know more than I do, but aren't just going to say, hey, you got to take steroids the rest of your life, because that's what he
Mhm.
was being told. And so I found him a functional medicine doctor, which I had no idea what functional medicine was. Um, yeah, like I was like, okay, seems more holistic, like digging into root cause is great. And so he basically helped save my husband's life. But I started hounding him. Hey, you guys don't have a nutritionist on staff. And so I eventually started contracting with him, and I actually worked with him for 7.5 years. That contract has recently ended, which is crazy to say, but it sparked my interest in functional medicine. Just
Mhm.
watching my husband go from full on jaundice, losing 30 pounds in a matter of a week, like deathbed, to, oh my gosh, like we've been monitoring labs every 6 months ever since, and he's been in remission. It was amazing to see. So I dove into functional medicine, and I won't even list off where I started studying, because it was like, I got to do this, then I got to do this, because it was a bit of an obsession.
Mhm. Oh, it definitely, and I've talked to some others about that, how like, you kind of, it becomes an obsession, and then you kind of get to that point where you're like, okay, this is an obsession, and you're like aware. So like you kind of, I'm not going to say slack off, but give yourself a little more grace and like live life essentially, which I've also seen you kind of transition to as well. Um, I want to take like a quick second. Hang on a second. Let me think about this. Yeah. Hepatitis is one of the things in the AO scan that has like all the different types, correct? Like hepatitis B, like all of those different things. Um, so like just because you are aware of hepatitis, because different people like that'll come up and they're like, I don't have hepatitis. And I'm like, I'm not saying that you do, because I think it's one of those things that people are afraid of. Like they think it's like, all these things. Like it has to do with the liver. And like that's about all I know. Do you feel like sharing anything about hepatitis and like what that
Yeah,
involves?
I mean, for him, they knew off the bat it was liver. And I think when people hear hepatitis, they're like, "What are you doing?" 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
literally, they're
Right,
talking to him as he's going in with his business suit of like, "Were you shooting up? What drugs have you done?" He's
right.
like, "I've not done any drugs." And so I do think there's that attached to it,
Yeah,
of like stigma of what are you doing?
right. Yeah. Who have you,
Um,
or have you been sleeping around? Like all of those questions. Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the questions, and of course he was getting irritated, like no to all of this. Um, but it's just attacking liver. And from an autoimmune standpoint, it's the same thing with anything else, right? Why do women get autoimmune thyroid?
Right.
Your body is just attacking the thyroid. So his immune system had gone haywire. And then we have the liver. And I love diving into the energetic aspect and looking at
Yes.
like what else it might mean. Didn't know it back then, but now I understand, even from just a Chinese medicine, the most basic standpoint, liver is anger.
Mm-hmm.
He hated his job, like he was miserable in it. So we're compounding all of these things. So throwing out there that liver is anger,
Mm-hmm. I love
among
it.
other things,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, but it's just hepatitis is liver. That's
Yeah.
it. And think about the daily burden we put on our liver. It doesn't mean that you're going to contract hepatitis, but
Right. But it's needing support. Like we have these like something that I just see in my newsfeed all the time is like, oh, like so and so is sick, so and so. Why is everybody so sick? Well, what are you eating? our air quality sucks because of all of the things. Um, there's so much around us. There's fragrances, there's lifestyle trauma, there's like all of these things. We're sitting in front of screens all the time, like we're not getting sunlight and grounding and water and all of these pieces, and it's not a quick fix. Like I have so many clients that are like, I have this one thing and I want to like fix it. I'm like, okay, well, I really focus on the frequencies, so I will support you with frequencies. If you want to go deeper, we just launched that 8-week program, which is very gentle lifestyle stuff, and I'm very excited that you're in it with me. But then I'm like, if you want something deeper and you're willing to commit, Kira is a great resource. And then I have like, a whole bunch of other resources that like I can send them based on kind of what they're looking for or their finances and like all of that. So like I'm constantly like, you have to do the work. You have to be the one that says, I'm taking control of my health. I'm going to figure this out. I'm gonna do the actual work and take those steps. So
And
anyway,
there's not a supplement for it. I'm just
yes,
going to get on my soapbox for a moment because that is always,
absolutely.
what supplement do I take for my liver then? I'm like, well, you don't just go take a supplement for your liver. You do what Emily just said. You
Yeah.
make those changes.
Yeah. And that's definitely something that it's been an adjustment. Like I mean, I have this idea for a reel because I have like we have all kinds of supplements because we've gone to like a traditional naturopath that was, heavy supplement, and I've seen different people that were heavy supplement, and um that's just not my approach anymore. It's
Mhm.
very like, okay, why? Let's reduce toxins, let's look at your lifestyle, let's figure out ways that we can reduce stress, let's add in good things. Like I've been grounding and getting sunlight and learning more of that, and that quantum aspect of like, how are we taking care of our subtle energies, because our body has always been telling us that something is wrong, but we've just chosen not to listen. And then it's like, hey, I'm going to kill you because you haven't listened. And that's when people unfortunately start trying to do the work, and then they expect to be better in a week.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how long did it take you to get sick? This sick.
Mhm.
It's going to take, and I love your approach too, where you're like, okay, you need to at least be with me for this long. And then like, it's probably going to take more years to see
Yeah,
long,
it's a
long-term
journey.
health.
Like, it doesn't mean you have to pay someone the whole time, but
Right.
like you need the tools and the resources to get started, and
Yep.
don't expect you, hey, I want to heal like these 5 autoimmune diseases, but I want to be better in 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Asking a lot. Your body has been trying to keep you alive for a really long time, and you're gonna start giving it a little bit of a break, sort of.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the other modalities you have added in since just kind of focusing on diet. What different things do you look at with clients? How do you go about working with clients, finding some root causes? I'd love
Yeah.
to hear your process.
I mean, a lot of it truly is lifestyle. We're looking at food, and I'm a realist. I always tell people I'm not a purist, right? Because we can fall into that trap very easily of like, no, don't have gluten, don't have dairy, don't have sugar, don't have stevia, don't have seed oils. Like the list goes on. But yes, we still need to optimize diet. And when I'm looking at it for someone, it's not a, hey, you're doing all these things wrong. It's what nutrients do we need to optimize, because people aren't paying attention to those. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking at calories, they're looking at macros, or they're looking at, oh, I can't have these foods because I read online that they're inflammatory. But in reality, if you're deficient in potassium and magnesium and boron, and then all of the lifestyle things. Are you getting sunlight? How is your circadian rhythm and your sleep? What is your toxin load? Let's look at beauty products. Let's look at cleaning products, things
Mm-hmm.
that you're spraying around your house. And then I definitely, I love to talk about the nervous system, which I'm not a therapist, and there are definitely times where I tell people like, this is out of my scope at this point. You need to go see someone, but
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot we can do for ourselves, and like working through emotions and trauma and stuff that's unresolved that we have suppressed, because we're a society that loves to just push things down for whatever reason. And so that's when I added the fun modality of hypnotherapy.
Yes.
So I also use hypnosis with some clients when it's needed.
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm so drawn to you and have been drawn to you, because like it's been fun seeing your journey of learning each of those pieces and adding each of those pieces and looking at the minerals, but also then looking at the trauma and the history there, and the nervous system, like all of those pieces connect. And I also, you've shared here and there on social media too about like the German new medicine, which is so
Mhm.
fascinating to me. And I, I want to dive into all of it, but I'm just like, where do
Yeah.
I start and what should be my primary focus right now? Um, but yeah, I definitely, there are those so many pieces that you just have to connect, and it isn't that just one thing. Like you said, it's not just a supplement that you're lacking, it's not your, and especially not a medication that you're lacking, like it's the lifestyle and finding those foundations again.
Yeah.
We've left our natural being essentially, and like that's what we need to get back to in order to find that health. So
Yeah. Well, oh, and you asked about labs too.
yeah.
I use, not for everyone. Some clients don't want to do them. I'm not looking at them as a diagnostic tool, right? I'm not going to look at somebody's labs and say, hey, you have this and you need to do this. It's more of a balance again of, okay, so, here's a couple things I see that are pointing towards some liver congestion.
Yeah.
Can we eat more cruciferous vegetables? Are you open to beets? How about castor oil packs? The lifestyle, the food components,
Mm-hmm.
but there's clues we can get. And from a functional medicine standpoint, I'm looking at labs much differently than Western medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, you're in range, everything looks good. I can't tell you the amount of times I was told that and didn't feel good. But then my clients come to me and I look at their labs, I'm like, seriously? They told you that these look good? Like your thyroid is sluggish. And there's just,
Mm-hmm.
a list of things that I'm like, these are opportunities that are being missed to help optimize your body. And it
Yeah.
doesn't take a lot. Like, can you go eat some seaweed?
Right.
Little
Yeah.
things like that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think labs can be a very important piece of the puzzle too.
Mm-hmm.
So for those listening, don't get discouraged if you're like, I don't, my labs are fine. My doctor told me that. Well, maybe.
Yeah. Let's look for those connection pieces, like,
Mhm.
and I like that you use them as an education tool and
Yeah.
not a diagnostic tool, because that's that whole other aspect of, we don't want to take on a diagnosis, because if we take on that diagnosis, we can't get rid of it. So I like that you focus on, okay, this is sluggish, so how can we optimize it? Because as we talked this week in our challenge, like mindset is really key around healing, and and being able to just focus on that aspect. Like, I have a diagnosis of my brain, and so like, but I try not to take on that diagnosis. I try to, okay, my brain works differently,
Mhm.
and I'm going to either utilize it, optimize it, like, and I've been playing, like, and that's all we can do in this life. It's not something that we're just like, oh, at this day I'm going to be like perfectly healthy and never have to work on my health again. It's a lifelong journey. As long as we're breathing, we get to choose. Are we choosing something for our health? Are we choosing something for our pleasure? Are we choosing to just not care and
Mhm.
suffer the consequences? um so yeah, I love that. Anyway, um do you want to talk at all on any specific areas that you like I love learning about the mineral balance, um any, or more on the German new medicine and kind of how that functions, any pieces that you want to share extra about?
I don't know if there's pieces, but I just want to remind people that there are multiple modalities, and not everything's going to resonate with you. And I know how easy it is to feel overwhelmed. Like, you're telling me I have to do mineral balancing, you're telling me I have to do gut, you're telling me German new medicine, but like they're all working together,
Mm-hmm.
so we tend to overcomplicate things, and it doesn't need to be that way. So start with the basics, right? Even if you can't start with mineral balancing, I tell my clients, like in my group right now, none of them are running mineral tests. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Look at what your body needs.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're just looking at the RDA. So daily allowance,
Yeah.
I like to see usually higher than that, but we'll leave that at that. But I'm like, potassium is something that people aren't paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
You need 3,500 to 4,700 milligrams every single day. Are you getting that in your diet? I don't need a mineral test to show me that you're not getting that,
Right.
you know? So that's
Yeah.
one thing of, you can take charge without feeling completely overwhelmed and like, I can't run labs and I can't do a mineral test and I can't do that. Okay, but look at what your body needs to run. It's like a car. Your car needs gas, your car needs an oil change. It's the same thing with the body. What do you need to run? Start paying attention to those things. And then if
Yeah.
you want to tap into the German new medicine, the hypnosis, great. Because again, it's all connected. We can't
Mhm.
just look at the body as this physical thing. We know, like
Right.
the research shows now, it's mind, body, and spirit. It
Mhm.
is all connected. So if you think that I'm just going to balance my minerals over here, but over on this side, I hate my life. I've got, years of unresolved trauma because I didn't want to talk about it. So I just suppressed it. You're not going to heal.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And I hate saying that people aren't going to like
right.
hearing it, but
But it's the truth. It's the truth about
yeah.
healing. There's so many pieces. I know, I, like like some of my personal health goals right now are around my stomach, and not so much losing weight, but tightening my muscles because of my 3 pregnancies. I really rough separation with diastasis recti, and like I feel like my organs are coming out of me and it's disgusting. And some of that is, yes, I need to move my body. But the stomach is so connected to like chaos and stress and like feeling out of control. And I
Mhm.
have 3 boys. I feel out of control. I have a business. I have all these other things. And I'm like, how do I figure out how to get this centered so that I even have the capacity mentally to do exercise, and that kind of thing, and taking that one step at a time and not beating myself up about it. Like it's just taking that step, like, you know what, this isn't the end of my life. This is where I'm at right now. I'm taking each season with stride. Like, just let's do what we need to today. Today is a season. Like, um,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's moment by moment. So yeah. Um,
Well, oh,
go ahead.
sorry to say, there's
No.
two things that jump out to me there too that I am constantly telling clients. One is the 1% rule. Like, you
Yes.
don't need to do all the things tomorrow. Again, it goes back to that overwhelm. I have so many that are like, okay, I've got to make these diet changes, and you're telling me to look at my minerals, and I got to get movement. I'm supposed to get outside. I'm like, 1% better
Mhm.
every day. That's
Yeah.
it. Do 1% better. If that means I'm going to perk farther away and I'm going to walk more, you know what? You're nailing it today
Yeah.
then. It doesn't matter that you didn't pay attention to anything else. Or, I went to Starbucks and instead of getting like a venti, I got a tall, like
Hmm.
1% better. So
Hmm.
there's that. And then the other thing I wanted to just point out to maybe help people feel a little bit better and less overwhelmed. One of my functional medicine instructors always taught maximize, minimize, prioritize. I say that all the time, even with myself. What do I need to maximize today? What is the one thing that I need to do more? Do I need to maximize sunlight? Do I need to maximize my sleep and get to bed earlier? What is that one thing I'm maximizing? What do I need to minimize in my life? Is it toxic people? Is it the Maybelline beauty products? Like, what am I minimizing? Priority, because again, if you look at it, okay, I got 27 things that I need to do. What are your priorities right
Yeah.
now?
Right. Yeah. And living that moment by moment, because that's all we have. We only have this present moment. The next moment isn't promised. The past is gone. Like, we can't do anything about it. And that's been like, I've been really working on that. I love that. I absolutely love that a lot. We'll probably use that in in the challenge.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why I created the challenge that I created, was that because I have so many clients that, like, they're just so overwhelmed. And I'm like, let's just start with some really foundational things
Mm.
and work on those. And if you want to do the challenge over and over and over again, let's do it. But if you take one thing away from these 8 weeks, that's progress. Like, I want you to reward yourself and be proud of yourself about that. Um, so I'd love to then jump into, tell me a little bit about your membership, because you just launched a membership also. And I'd love to know more about what all is in your membership and what you're including, and how you're supporting people with your membership.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. It's like it's been on my heart for a long time because I love the group aspect, but it was like, okay, I'm launching a group here, I'm launching a group here. It was just kind of willy-nilly, but I love the environment of a group. And in the beginning, I felt hesitant, like, oh, women don't want to talk about their health, they want it to be private, but I see the community and I see how it helps everyone. So my membership is essentially a group. Every month we have 2 calls. So one of them is just Q&A, which is great. because I feel like the conventional route, it's like, okay, well, I'll see you back in 6 months, or you know what I mean? And you get 10 minutes with me. This is any questions that you have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other call is more of a topic focused. So I pull the women and what do you guys want to talk about this month? What do you want me to teach on? And then questions that come from that, whether it's, can we talk about gut health? Because I have 25 questions about it or whatever.
Right.
Um, and then they get access to my course. So like you, it always goes back to those foundational pieces.
Mm-hmm.
We can't jump to all these fancy things if we're not even like nailing the basics. And so my course walks them through, how do you eat for your body? Macronutrients, micronutrients, like all the things, gut health, hormones, nervous system, somatic movement. Like there are a ton of tools in there. And then there's even a hypnosis library. So for those that are like, okay, I'm focusing on this one thing, but man, like I cannot get past these symptoms, there's probably a hypnosis in there for you to listen to. And for me, it's also been an affordable way for people to get some access to functional medicine in a different way. Because you know, and I know that functional medicine is not inexpensive, and I see prices going up.
Yeah, that they go up, they're very high. And that's definitely been something too for me. Like that's why I keep the prices the way I do, because I'm like, I want to keep things affordable for people. And even something new that I'm launching, I'm like, this is way too much money. But then I like cost analysis, like did all the costs, and I was like, holy crap, they're getting it for over half off. Like if they would have like not had it in a program. So I love that you have that option for people. And I think that your price is super affordable, especially for all the value that you're giving, and that not one-on-one time, but group time. But that group time,
Yeah.
it helps everybody. And like you said, with the community piece, like you do sometimes feel like, people don't want to talk about their stuff publicly, or like even in a private group. But like if you can create that community that's safe,
Mhm.
people open up, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one who struggle. Because like,
Yeah.
as as like a practitioner, like you talk to all these people and you're like, I wish I could connect to these clients, because like they're dealing with similar things, and some of them could be ahead in certain areas, and they could help each other. And that's the thing I like about community too, is like it's not just on you as a practitioner. Like everybody has a piece of the journey, and they can share some of the wins that they've had through things they've done, things you've suggested, like, oh yeah, like Kira really helped me with this, and I highly recommend doing it. Like I've been doing that with my business coach lately. I'm like, if you need somebody, hire her, because like these are all the ways that I've seen, success because of it. And that can be encouraging to other people, and seeing that, like, if someone's a little further ahead on the journey, seeing the steps they took, and also seeing the progress piece. Like I haven't made all this progress in a month. I've made it over the last 6 months. So it's helpful to kind of see that forward piece of
Yeah.
where you're
Yeah.
going to be at.
You
So
totally
anyway,
froze.
I know it keeps freezing. I think we're good now.
Well, and I think the support piece is really good because like you said, a lot of times people feel like I'm alone. My journey is different than anyone else's. It's like, well, but there are people that you can connect with and see, and not to commiserate, that's not the goal of this,
Right.
but like, oh my gosh, there's other people out there dealing with similar things. It's nice to have that. And it's nice to have accountability. I mean, you can get it one-on-one with me, but you can also get it in a group when you're like, ooh, I don't want to be called out in front of everyone else.
Right. Right. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It helps. That helps a lot. So cool. Is there anything else that you want to share? I have two final questions, but I know we want to keep things on time today.
Gosh, I don't know. Is there anything else you want me to touch on?
I think we touched on pretty much everything I had on my stuff. Like we kind of, the only thing that was on here that we didn't maybe necessarily call out is root causes, but like we kind of discussed that throughout, like, finding some of those root causes, and eliminating, and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But
Well, and I can touch on that too, because I had a call with a client yesterday, and I always tell them I view people like a puzzle. Maybe it's not a great analogy, but it works for me. And we're looking for the outside pieces and as many inner pieces to make sense of this puzzle, right? Like I don't need all the pieces to see the picture.
right.
We also don't know which one came first.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same with the body. We're not always identifying the root cause. I keep hearing root cause medicine, root cause medicine. Yes, that's what I'm doing, right? I'm helping people find the root of the problem, but we don't always know what that root is, even with my husband. Like, what was the root of that? Was it the stress? Was it the anger? Was it the lack of sleep with a newborn? Like, we don't know. But as
Right.
long as we can put more of those pieces together and identify those imbalances and make sense of the picture, that's it. That's all your body needs. It has an innate ability to heal. Give it the tools.
Yeah. I like that because I think that, and I will say that I get kind of fixated on that too. Like that almost becomes like that whole other obsession.
Yeah,
Like,
it
what is the
does.
root cause? And I have to get to it before I can heal. And like that's not, you can heal
Yeah.
just based on shifting what's currently there. I'm very glad you brought that up because that was really good. That was good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Um, um, final questions. What is your favorite connection in wellness and like how certain things affect one another? What's your favorite connecting piece?
You mean like within the body?
Within the body, within the mind, anything.
I mean, for me, it is that mind-body connection. I think my favorite thing is looking at somebody's symptoms and what they're dealing with, but then also looking at what's going on emotionally, what's going on
Mm,
mentally around that time. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
like I use my husband as the example again of we didn't know back then, but now it's looking at, oh my gosh, okay, well, what was going on in life? Like you hated your job, you I don't think any of his family members are going to be listening to this, so we're good. You were having falling outs with your mother, your brother, like
Mhm,
there's so much. And so my favorite connections is helping people see too that like the mind and the body are not separate. I
mhm,
keep harping on that, but I think it's so important to look at that. Even, thyroid issues. Okay, well, when did your thyroid issues begin? Sure, it might be nutrient driven. You need more zinc, you need more selenium, but where were you not using your voice?
mhm.
Where have you felt suppressed?
Yep.
So that's my favorite connection is
Yeah.
is looking at them together.
Yeah. That one is a fun one for me too. I know whenever I had my shop, we had this lady came in the one day and I, it was fascinating when I had my shop, just the various people that would come in one time, they felt like left feeling amazing. We never saw them again.
Yeah.
And but she was complaining about some like issues with her back. And so we prompted her. We were like, well, when did your back start hurting? And like all these things. And we like connected it back to a previous job that she had had. And like just how she was being treated at that job like was not okay. And we were like, oh well, that's fascinating. So like working on like healing through those emotions. She, since I don't believe had that job, like she's in a different job and everything, but she's still, having those effects of that. And it's just so, I agree with you. That's one of my favorite pieces too, is finding those mind body connections, because they are so powerful. um Cool. What is one tip, which you've already given so many, so you can either reiterate one or give a new one. What is one tip that you would like to give those listening around supporting their health and wellness?
Hmm. Take baby steps. Like don't jump into the what supplement can I take or do I need to do cold plunges or should I do 14 or 16-hour fast? Like all of these trends, and I am going to call them trends that we see
Mm-hmm.
online. Like focus on the basics. I don't care about those things. Are you working on your nutrition? Are you optimizing what your body needs and minimizing the foods that maybe aren't serving you? And then looking at the other foundational pieces of, am I getting sunlight? Am I going to sleep okay? Am I on blue light all day? Am I getting some movement? All of those little things that we can overlook and jump to like the most complex things of like, no, I'm eating terribly and I don't get any movement. I'm totally sedentary, but I read online that I should do fasting for my cycle. I'm like, why are we jumping to that?
Absolutely. Not to mention, which fasting is like a nice still free way, but like not to mention a lot of those things cost money.
Yeah.
Like people like buy all these tools and things and it's like, but did you do the free stuff? Like you're complaining about money and being stressed, but then you're going and buying this and like paying for all these supplements and paying for all this. Like, did you get some sunlight and grounding today? That one was
Yeah.
free. Did you drink some water? I mean, like the one tool, and I think you would agree, would be adding like some salt, but like that doesn't have to
Yeah.
be super expensive, some Celtic salt, some real salt, like, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like a pound a day, like a pinch, just take a
Yeah.
pinch here and there throughout the day. Um, but yeah, I I like that tip. Thank you. And where can people find you?
Um, Very active on Facebook. I mean, Kira Whitham is my personal, and I'm actually more active on my personal, but my business is a Nourish Life Nutrition. So you'll find my Facebook page there, my website, and then Instagram is kirawhitham.nd.
Okay, and we will tag these in the show notes so people can find you quickly. And anything else before we go?
Keep fighting for your health. That's it. That's what I'm
Okay.
going to say
I love that.
because it's easy to give up. It's hard to keep going. So keep
Yes.
going.
Yes.
You were put here for a reason and it was not to suffer. So keep going.
I love that. That is a perfect way to end this. So for all of you listening, thank you so much for listening to this conversation with Kira. I hope that you got some very good golden nuggets because there were plenty of them. And I will see you on the next episode. Have a great day.